that person inside of your head talking to you again? Are you listening to them or are you ignoring them? So I want to talk about the little person that lives up here that warns us, guides us, and sometimes we're way too quick to tell them to shut up and ignore them. So let's be real, right? So, hey guys, if you're new here, I'm Tisa. I'm starting this journey of being in corporate procurement for the last 20 years, working to buy a business and figuring out what comes next in my life while I work to make something for me in this world. So this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, of really trusting my gut, trusting my instincts, leaning in on listening to that inner voice in my head. Here's the thing. I haven't always listened to it. I still don't always listen to it. Sometimes this voice is just screaming, like, at the time, I think stupid shit, right? Shut up. I don't need to listen to you right now. You're just talking nonsense. So the times I really don't listen, let's be honest, is when that voice is saying, you did a really good job. I'm getting better. I'm getting better about trusting that voice, but that's for later. But I wanted to touch on something. There was a time when I really, truly ignored my gut. We're going to go personal here. This is a good personal story. I think it translates. So I used to be married, right? So did so many people, right? I'm now divorced, just like many others. So I knew from the beginning that it was just not right. And I was going through the motions, and from a girl's perspective, I was planning a wedding, right? I was planning this big party and it was fun. But at the end of the day, I kept going, I don't know if this is what I should be doing. So I was in the bathroom of the venue in my wedding dress. My dad was outside the bathroom waiting to walk me down the aisle when I stood there and stared at myself in the mirror, and the voice up here screaming at me, stop. This isn't right. Don't do it. So what did I do? I literally looked at myself in the mirror. I said, all right, there's this huge party happening outside right now, and everybody is waiting on you to show up. And you've had some people that said this wasn't quite right, and I don't want to prove them right. So I don't want to hear that I told you so. So whatever. I shut up voice inside my head. We're going through with this. So needless to say, here I am telling you guys, don't ignore your gut instincts. That voice is there telling you something for a reason. So could I have saved myself a few years of heartache, some money, some things like that if I had just listened at that point and said, okay, stop, take a breath, reevaluate, actually listen to what's happening in my head? Probably could have saved myself some trouble and grief there, but I can't go back in time, right? So since then, I've really kind of tried to be better about listening to that inner voice. So on the flip side, I want to give you guys a really good where I've leaned in, where others might not have. So about a year ago, I had a supplier that was shutting their doors down. They had been making a product for 3 generations. There was not a 4th generation that wanted to continue the business. And so they were shutting down. Well, my company wanted to continue to distribute it. So my job in procurement, find a new home. So this was not something we could make inside, and I needed to find a new manufacturing partner. So that's exactly what I did. I created the selling story, and I put it in quotes because this product was not a really fun product to make. It's messy. It was very just messy. Okay. So, and I knew a lot of my suppliers, it wasn't necessarily within their wheelhouse. So I knew I needed to give them as much of a full picture of what making this product would be. So long story short, none of the people that were in my existing network wanted to do this. So I needed to find somebody new. So I went to this supplier that had nothing to do with the same industry I'm in, had no equipment to do what I needed them to do, had never done anything like what I wanted them to do. But I liked the people that I was talking to. They were saying all the right things. Okay. So here's that thing in procurement. What looks good on paper is one thing, right? You're going to get that quote, you're going to get that cost, you know what it is on paper. Then you start having conversations with the suppliers and they can say all the right things. And it's our job to listen to what they're saying and really listen to what they're not saying and lean in on that, right? So, okay, we have it on paper. This is what your company is. This is how much you're going to charge us. These are our terms. We've had some conversations. But until you get there, get in their building and actually get eyes on, you're not really able to put the whole picture together. So they're telling me all the right things on the phone. I'm feeling really good about them. But I also know, again, nothing relevant to what I need them to do. So I got in the car, drove down to them. I had one of my other colleagues who's in our R&D technology group meet me to give me another perspective on things, right? And when I walked in, the lobby was what I needed it to be. The parking lot was what I needed it to be. The dock doors was what I needed it to be. So from my first impressions, hit and checked all those boxes. So green flags. So we met, we went in the conference room. They had brought in samples of some work that they were doing with other things. So they were showing me and demonstrating what they've already told me. So yay, more green flags. Because remember, I'm trying to find a home for something that nobody wants to make, right? So we go out and we start touring their manufacturing area. And what I can tell you is they had manpower, they had space, and they were hungry for the new business. And so they took me out and they showed me an empty warehouse. And then that's where they did their selling. And they explained, this is the equipment we're going to bring in. This is how it's going to go. They were able to explain and sell in this empty warehouse and tell me where they were going to go. So now I've seen on paper what their costing is. I've had conversations. Now I've went there. I've seen physical proof. Okay, this space really works. But it's still a very big question mark, right? All I'm seeing is an empty warehouse. I'm seeing some hungry management that wants the business and they have manpower. That still doesn't tell me proof of concept. So from that point, I knew without a doubt within that 2-hour visit, they were the supplier that I was picking and I knew that they could do it. There was nothing there that showed me they could do it. It was a completely empty warehouse. I trusted my gut. I leaned in on my instinct. But what I really did is I leaned in on the last 20 years of going into suppliers, of walking manufacturing floors, of knowing what I'm looking for. And what did I see when I went there? Even though there was no equipment, I saw clean floors. I saw taped off warehouses. I saw placards and identification and all those things and earmarks that you want to see for cleanliness and organization. So that helped build my gut up that I knew enough based off of my experience. So again, what's that inner voice really? It's our years and years of experience coming back in ways that we can't actually process. What is that gut feeling? It's your brain processing patterns that you've picked up over time. I just couldn't articulate it in that moment. So I went back to my company and I made this recommendation. I said, okay, this is the supplier we're going with. This is who we're onboarding. And my partner from technology, he deferred to me. He said, I will go with what you want. They're saying the right things. They're asking the right questions. He goes, but it's still an empty warehouse. So fast forward 6 weeks, could have been 8, but we show up. This time a much larger team. It's me, it's my R&D manager, it's our technologist. And this is the first time my quality group is getting in to see them. So this is the make or break. We're here for a trial run. And do you know what we found when we walked in? They had brought equipment in, they had everything ready, they had been practicing, and they were ready to show us what they could do. What's that? What does all of this mean? It means that I went and I trusted my gut. I trusted that voice in my head when I saw this empty warehouse, and I said, this is going to be a supplier that's going to get it done. And they got it done. I trusted my gut. I know that many others on my team wouldn't have made that same choice. And that's okay. We have different experiences. We have different lenses. But when you go to shut that voice up that's in your head, when that voice is screaming so loud and you're just second guessing it, remember, there's a reason that voice, your gut instinct, that sixth sense, whatever you choose to call it, there's a reason it's there. Trust it. Lean in on it because it's you. You have that knowledge, and that's that way it bubbles out. So let me ask you, when's the last time you truly leaned in and trusted your gut? Was it something incredible, or did you ignore it at your own peril, i.e., a divorce, right? So it's always great to look back on our lives and find that point where we go, when did my inner voice tell me something and I completely ignored it? Think about it. We all have Jiminy Cricket with us. How many times do we listen to him? So with that, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. And I would love to understand, what's your inner voice tell you? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, thanks and bye, guys. Appreciate it.